The Voting Rights Act, for all intents and purposes, was basically the realization of the 15th Amendment. The 15th Amendment was signed into law in like 1870 after the Civil War, and it gave Black people the right to vote. And it wasn't the case that Black people could vote for basically 95, almost 100 years. 95 years later, we get the Voting Rights Act. And that actually, like, it wasn't just, there are like BS legislation nonsense that are not worth the time of day, especially in the United States. But like this, like, actually shifted the political reality of millions of people living in the South and the representation of people in Congress. Now, that might not be the most revolutionary body they were ever considered, but
It certainly hasn't done much to curb the rise of racism in this country.
So you have, well, that's true. And John Lewis was a big proponent of the Voting Rights Act, and then he became an elected official, and he really didn't do that much progressive stuff in the end. But we're not having that argument. What I'm trying to say is, like, you have the Civil War, you have the end of you abolish slavery. You have the 15th Amendment, which actually allows these folks to vote. You have a failed Reconstruction that any political power that was starting to be amassed by Black folks in the South was pulled away. And then you have 100 years, basically, of state-sanctioned and extra-legal violence in Jim Crow. And you finally get the Voting Rights Act. And not 60 years later, it's gone. That is not a story of progressivism. That is not a story of the arc of justice bending the correct direction. And it's not that surprising it's happened. Like, this isn't just Trump's America. This is like, not an unpredictable place to find ourselves.